Okay, we have a really special guest on tonight who is going to share with us. She um is just a super cool mom. She was a nurse and now she's homeschool mom. Super into like natural and wellness, and she's a Sapphire with Plexus. So just very successful in all areas of like mom life, wife life, business. And I'm just really excited for you to get to hear from her tonight. So Hannah, thank you so much for hopping on and taking the time to pour into our team.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here too. Thank you for the sweet intro, Joanna. That's very kind and thoughtful. But I yeah, I'm going to share a little bit about my story and then go into like a struggle that I've had and overcome, and then hopefully encourage you guys through that. So, my name is Hannah. I'm in Boise, Idaho. I've been with Plexus for 7 years now. And when I was joining, I was just looking for a good multivitamin. I had been through 2 pregnancies at the time, and I understood the importance of supplementing at that time. I was taking like 8 capsules of a multivitamin from a naturopath, and I was like, after my friend Emily Burgess had said, "Hey, have you checked out Plexus?" I spent 4 months researching all the ingredients. I had to know like nothing was going to be harmful, everything beneficial, which is so funny because I didn't do any of that with the Target prenatal I took with my first pregnancy. But for whatever reason, like I just wanted to really ensure that it was going to be good for me. I was nursing my baby at the time too. So after several months of researching, I decided to jump in. I understood the importance of gut health and blood sugar balance and decreasing inflammation. I was blown away with the intentionality that Plexus had with what they were giving to us, for us. And then I considered myself healthy. I thought I was eating well and exercising. So when I had some changes happen, like my energy levels, I wasn't running for the caffeine or taking a nap every day. I was waking up rested. Like that truly still to this day, I would say has changed my life because of the way I felt then versus now with 4 children. And I would argue much like busier, more things going on. So my digestion regulated, the bloating went away. I remember like just always like I never went every day, and that was just normal, right? So I just had understood these shifts that were happening. My cravings decreased, the things that you hear all the time. One big one was my milk supply took off. And so I just got excited about how I was feeling, the things that I was learning, and it was just very natural for me to be open about that. And that's when I started helping other people get set up with Plexus, and that ignited a fuel like fat oh my gosh, a passion for me to help other people because in the hospital we're really quick to just treat the symptoms and put the band-aids on. So I love this idea of the root issues, the natural healing that can happen when you're feel like giving your body what it's needing. So that just kind of was the beginning. I had no intention of working a business. I really didn't have any like thing against network marketing that I know some people have to work through, but I also didn't have any belief in it. I had no clue what was here at the beginning and what this opportunity can offer. So it took me, I would say I was a very slow starter, and the paychecks were coming as I was just very casually sharing. And I think it was about a year in where I had this light bulb moment of there's something really to this. And it followed a conversation with my husband where it was one of those times where they showed their stress and their frustrations just with where we were financially and our circumstances. He's a dentist, and so we were buried with student loan debt at 8% interest, and it was like we never got anywhere. We were putting so much money towards these loans, and the principal never went down. So we just felt like we were very stuck, and we both had good jobs, but yet it just wasn't like we felt trapped. And little backstory, before Emily had reached out to me about Plexus, I had our newborn baby girl with me, our second child, and I remember praying like, Lord, please provide a way for us to get out of debt because we did feel very stressed and maxed out. And um network marketing was not in the like idea of an answer to that prayer, but I very much so can see how that was now here today. So fast forward a few years, right? Like lots happens in those early years. Lots of beliefs built, hard work, building a team, and we hit Emerald, and then that was a really big pivotal moment. In 2 years later, we paid off all of Zach's student loan debt. So 240,000 in 2 years, you guys, like mind blowing, life changing. I mean, we also made a lot of sacrifices in that to like make that happen. But I'm telling you all that to hopefully like stir up and encourage you all and like keep going. This is incredible. So, then it was a year later, we went Sapphire. And so that's a little bit more about like where I'm coming from. And then I'm going to take you to 2 years ago when Ruby, our fourth baby, was born. And had chosen to homeschool at that point. I had stepped away from nursing at the hospital and full-time home, navigating baby, sleep deprivation, learning challenges with one of my kiddos, ADHD, emotional, like dysregulation, all kinds of stuff was happening in our home. It was a really, really hard year of trying to figure stuff out. And so I just felt like I didn't have the capacity, I didn't have the energy, like I just didn't have much to pour into the business. There was a beautiful thing of recognizing what residual income brings, because that was my paychecks never went away. Like they were stable. There had been like a very like foundational business that had been built. So that was beautiful. But on the flip side of it, I had a lot of guilt because I felt like a really poor leader. And so there was this constant struggle, like basically just showing up to save face and maintain, and thank the Lord, like that bridged a gap. But then coming out of that season, it was like I was wrestling. It's like, okay, am I going to just continue to sort of fade out, or am I going to really press in and get back into this and get back into action? And so I had a lot of wrestling because it's nice and it's comfortable to just like not have to think about what I'm posting or put in the time to work. And yeah, so it was just like, I just was in this place of like, okay, Lord, where are we at here? Is it time that this sits on the shelf, or is it time to like lean in and really enter what I would consider another building season, to keep going, to move forward again? And I felt so clearly that the Lord put on my heart that like, you're not done, and your impact is still, there's still impact to be made. And I knew that I would be settling if I had walked away. And I really knew that like, that wasn't, I hadn't gone so far to just like settle out. And so, accepted that challenge of like, all right, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna rebuild. Better season of like, I wasn't sleep deprived anymore. We had found some like home rhythms, and homeschooling like navigated that so that I was really able to lean in and press in again. So here's my advice on if you're in that sort of season, or if you come to that season, because it's always changing, right? I would encourage you to find 3 words that describe who you want to be, because I felt very stuck in that time of like, I'm exhausted. I I can't show up. I don't know, just a lot of those stories that you can play that necessarily like, okay, well, that doesn't have to be it. Like that doesn't have to be what I accept. So, my 3 words were joyful, peaceful, and disciplined, because I had reached a place where like I just felt very stressed out all the time. I was yelling at my kids, which is not my normal, like just things in the home that like it's hard to show up energized and feeling good when you know that things are off. So find those 3 words. I set alarms on my phone 3 times a day where it was going off. When I felt irritable or like ready to yell, like I would just remember like, okay, I want to be the peaceful mom. I want to have a joy-filled home. I want to be disciplined. I don't want to just show up when I feel like it, right? So these like that will frame where you are heading and help you get out of your funk and like where you feel stuck. So the other thing I would advise for you would be set up some practical rhythms. So, like the helpful habits, the things that create stress and tension, meal planning, right? Like the mystery of dinner time that we know comes every day, but yet you sit there and you're like, what are we eating for dinner tonight? And it just like, it's a point of tension. I am not a planner by like, that is not my um strong suit. But so I could sit in that story of just like, oh, we'll just fly by the seat of our pants. But knowing that that was creating stress and tension in our life, I knew I needed to figure out meal planning. And it's hard at first, just like anything, but then it becomes simpler and you figure it out and you have your go-to recipes. Anyways, um, so that's an example. Another thing is like the laundry pileup. I knew again, like there was this, oh, the mess doesn't bother me until it's exploding. But if I was real with myself, that was feeling that there was stress with that every day. So I had to figure out some habits that would help our home run smoothly. So things like running the dishwasher every night, starting a load of laundry in the morning, like those were a couple of things that kept things moving along in a home of 6 people and running a business and homeschooling. Like there's a lot. And even if you're not doing those things, it's still a lot. So find something, a helpful habit, practical rhythm. Don't try to do it all at once, but just I'll have some questions for reflection that you can kind of nail down what you want. Um, but some other things that we figured out were like our afternoon like routines, what that looked like, where I could sneak in some time to work, tidy time before dinner. It's like my kids are running around, they're picking things up before dad comes home. Like that just again helps set another tone in your home. Then another advice for you is help, which is really hard, especially when you're strapped financially, but I cannot recommend enough to go find a date. Maybe you're trading childcare. Get creative. Like, I'll watch your kids this Friday so my husband and I can go, and I'll watch your kids the next night. Like, you can figure it out. But getting a date just refreshes your soul and it like revitalizes you and not like being able to have a conversation with your husband for an hour without feeding mouths or cleaning up messes or whatever it might be. Um, Another thing is like having a house cleaner. We put it off for how many years? Like we've been married for 14 years. We've had one for 2 years now. So for 12 years, that was something that I knew could be helpful and I just avoided it. I avoided it. I didn't want to prioritize that in our budget, even if it's something quarterly. It changes, it like removes the weight on your shoulders. Like it is a big, big deal. So I would recommend like figuring that out. So even a quarterly cleaning, that's like $100 um, every 3 months, 4 months, whatever. So that just allows you to know that like, okay, there's at least a standard, like a starting point somewhere of like deep cleaning that's happening and allowing that like mental load release. So, okay, 2 other things. Do something that brings you joy every day. So recognizing what is filling you up is really important. Maybe that's taking a walk and just getting outside. Maybe that's um, drinking a hot cup of coffee in the morning that like you don't have anything else happening, but you're just like sitting in a chair with your coffee, quiet time, reading your book, reading your Bible, whatever that could be. If that brings you joy, then make that happen and recognize it. Like sometimes we go on autopilot where we're doing things that do bring us joy, but then if we're not like really embracing it, then that's not filling you up. So it's really important, like, especially when you're in a place of just low energy. And I'm not talking like, oh, I'm just tired, but truly, like, how do you show up in your business with excitement and energy when you are just like drained all day long? And you don't feel that capacity. So finding those little moments of like, wow, I love watching my kids play outside, like just recognizing that, I think that follows into like gratitude as well. And then setting work hours and putting your phone away. So we also all the time we open up our phone and maybe it was like to go look at the meal that I'm cooking that night, but then I see these notifications for this, and then I'm on stories and Instagram, and like 10 minutes later, I've just like, I don't even know why I opened my phone to begin with, right? Like it can pull our attention and our distraction. I find that I get most irritable with my kids when I have my phone open when I'm not planning it. So I would highly recommend like you have to put it in a drawer, put it in another room, put it on silent mode. Allow yourself brain like rest because if your phone's in front of your face, you are not resting in any sort of way. And so I just, when everything is on our phone, it just, I feel like there can be a lot of tension that builds around that. So do that for yourself. Be disciplined in that way. Um, okay, so now I have some questions for you guys just for areas of reflection to hopefully help you. One is like, where is an area that you are being lazy that causes stress and you can focus on improving? So that one habit that's going to serve your home and your family. So, like I said, there you could pick a laundry list. I have my own laundry list of things that I can continue to try to improve, but I just want you to nail down one. Is it that mealtime? Is it morning time, like your morning routine and getting out the door or something? Like find is it the loads of laundry? Find that and then work on creating a habit that will help things run a little smoother. The next question is what are you avoiding in your business? Because I think that can bring so many emotions and create such a complex in our minds if we're just like simply avoiding sending out a reach out or you're avoiding the post or whatever. Okay. So you have to nail down what it is you're avoiding and then carve it out that that is your task before you go to bed. That's what you're doing first thing in the morning. That is what you're doing before you can go do the fun things like checking in with your team or if posting is easy for you, like you have to go do that hard thing before you go and do the rest. Um, and you will feel so much better. Like just picking that one thing, you will feel like you just rocked your business that day. I promise. Um, Another thing is what are you thinking? Are you managing your mind? And recognize those thoughts that aren't serving you and the funk that you're in or whatever, like this is too hard or I'm just so tired or like those thoughts aren't going to serve you and they're not going to help you. So you need to shift them and be very purposeful with going to the other side um, and seeing what you need to do to correct that or like believing you are capable. And then I just want to like wrap this up a little bit and letting you know that like convention was a really big time for me and just like coming out of that hard season and shifting into like, here we go. I'm pumped. Things are moving again. And and I still like, will think this, we just came off a vacation and I like we didn't have internet. I wasn't here. It was awesome. I came back on a Monday today and it was like, here we go. I'm going to be diamond by next convention and here's what needs to happen. And so I can like shift back. I think I had a really hard time shifting between like mom, motherhood, marriage, business. And so being able to have like certain thoughts on those areas when it comes to my business, like how I'm going to show up so that I'm diamond by next convention. It just like puts this a framework, right? Of like, okay, who am I helping succeed? Have I posted and talked about the business and the opportunity yet? Have I sent my messages to create new conversations? Like it immediately helps me go into work mode. Um, and then I also just feel like we all know the things that we need to do, but there has to be this decisive moment of, I'm just done being stuck. I'm done being comfortable. It's time to figure it out. It's time to put these things into place. It was Jessica Heffley who said, if I don't change, my business doesn't change. And so that really hit me too. And it's just like a lot of times we'll reach these plateaus or these places we feel stuck. And the biggest factor on adjusting is something in your life. And so work on you, work on what that might be, and show up with passion. Like that complacency of occasional posting, not talking about the business, not reaching out. Like that's just coasting. So show up with energy, show up with passion. People will follow someone who knows where they're going, and people want to join someone who will change the trajectory of their family's future. So I think that you really need to have that frame of mind so that you're operating from a place of belief, passion, and excitement. And then lastly, here's some more practical things on like how to grow, how to build. When you are operating from a place of contagious passion, you will be bringing in new level ones. And because that confidence is contagious, bold action comes from that. Your consistency comes from that. Your conversations, your posting, all of it flows from there. So then I also recognize, like, if you want your team to make things, like make it a thing, then you need to make it a thing. Like, we always know that. Like, you have to lead by example. And so when you're reaching out with new messages, you're going to go post that in your thread and you're going to say, hey, this is a reach out message I just had. Here's a follow up I just did. I just posted about the business, right? So that is like, you get to help your team by doing the things that you know you need to do to grow. And so I think ending it on focus on who you're becoming, the story you're living in, and know that when you're living in your purpose, you're going to inspire people to do the same thing. So that's what I got for you guys.